It is good to have you on board. Another episode of Unfiltered coming your way right here, right now. This officially go down as episode number 319 in your scorecard. You can get on board 24/7, 365. It is easy. Apple, Spotify, everywhere where you get your favorite podcasts. And also you can check out the YouTube channel. Just simply search up Unfiltered with Casey Stern. Like, follow, subscribe, and get on board. Catch all the videos, all the interviews, all the commentary through 300 now. 18 into 319 episodes worth. There is a ton to get to. This episode will be a Mets-centric version of the podcast, so we get a lot of Metsies things in here. You want to jump on board and bring your questions, your comments on what I have to say. Obviously, you can get them in the YouTube comments. If you're listening, you could jump in on Twitter, X, if you will, at Casey Stern, and let me know along the way. There's a lot I want to get to along the way on this show today as we assess where the Mets are heading into the weekend series against the Cincinnati Reds. A big one currently as I do this, a 5-game advantage over Cincinnati and over San Francisco in the wild card. They're sitting there 5.5 and 6 back now after the loss today from the Philadelphia Phillies, and the division seemingly in a distance, even with a 4-game series coming up for the Mets. There is a lot to get to, and it all centers around inconsistency. One of the things we're used to being Met fans over the years is we're used to being sucked in and then being pushed out. We're used to all the reasons to get excited and then all the reasons to feel agony. And a lot of times it happens in the same at-bat, an inning, a game, and many, many times throughout the course of all these roller coaster seasons that we've dealt with. And in a lot of ways, this season is no different. What makes it frustrating? Two things. One, clearly we know they had a best record in baseball up until June 13th, not going back to the middle of last year, almost a full calendar year. That's number one. And we know they're capable. Number two, because they're capable, it is seemingly 100 times exponentially more frustrating to watch what is happening to the Mets now, because you know when you sit there and watch this team that it's there. And seemingly the names are there. Pitching. But rather than start with the starting pitching, I'm going to go backwards because of what happened earlier today and start with this. You can get on Ryan Helsley, and you should. You can get on him for how bad he's pitched. You can get on all of that. But you can't get on David Stearns. People want to jump and always blame the general manager or the manager for everything. Where is credit due? Where do you give blame? It is always the question in sports, clearly the question in baseball, seemingly forever. And in most cases, we give too much credit and then we give too much blame on the other side. So it's easy to sit there and say, oh, but David Stearns had a crappy deadline. What the hell did he do at the trade deadline? What did he do to help our baseball team at the deadline? He didn't do anything to help my team at the deadline. I needed starting pitching. He didn't get any. That much is true. And clearly the Mets did. Outside of a Nolan Ryan-like looking Nolan McClain so far, and Jonah Tongu is here through one start, we know what kind of trouble they would be in. But you cannot get on him for adding Ryan Helsley. Because when you add Helsley and you add Rogers, you look like you have fixed the back end of the bullpen. At the time, a healthy Garrett and Stanek and Brazoban, who was there at the time, and the others, and obviously they added Gregory Soto as well. Rayleigh, they all go into that mix beforehand, and now I got Rogers, and I got Helsley, and I got Edwin Diaz, who, when he right, the best closer in the game, and I got what I need. A lot of times it is the perception that you need to look at versus the reality of the result. Yeah, I always use this example all the time. My friend Stevie, a longtime friend, Steve Phillips, right? When Steve Phillips ran this organization, he went and got Robbie Alomar. I remember back in the day, people were saying when they saw Robbie Alomar spitting on umpires and failing seemingly to be anywhere near what he was when he was a stat-stuffing fantasy stud and an all-timer defensively and an all-timer across the board, and nothing seemed to work. That old adage and joke I always use when I used to in 88 say catch the fever out on Shea Stadium at the time and become a Met. Because seemingly you lose all your ability, including the ability, as I do this, to remember to put my power cord in to my laptop. So I'll do that now. Seamlessly, of course. For you listening, no harm, no foul. But I think when you look at the situation with deals. As an example, that one. It's never the wrong thing to bring Robbie Alomar. And I'm not comparing Clay Helsley here. But in any of those situations, you have to look at what was the information given, what did you expect you were getting? Nobody knew. 2-7 for his career with St. Louis, and pretty much 11, going, and all of it has been bad. And I'm not getting on it. Look, it is the best broadcast team in the business, and Ronnie and Keith the job. We talk about the tipping of pitches all we want, but the tipping of pitches does not make your breaking ball lose all ability to control that slider since he got here. He's able to throw it for strikes earlier in counts when guys are looking for a fastball so he can get ahead. He's not able to get it to be close enough to the last second to then dip off the plate to get guys to swing at it. It's too much in the dirt, sometimes even high off the plate. And then all of a sudden, guess what? He's coming in 3-1 and throwing a fastball, and his fastball doesn't have the movement that the fastball of Edwin Diaz has, and that's why he's getting hurt. Get behind in counts, fastball counts, hitters know exactly what's happening, and there you go. But whether you're tipping pitches or not, Mariano Rivera, we knew the cutter was coming every time. He could tip, he could basically say, here it comes, and they couldn't hit it. Now, I understand that as a grand scenario, of a whole different breed. I get it. But you get my point. The guy can't get his stuff over right now, and I don't want to hear about the tipping pitches because even if he is, that's not why his ERA is 11. Maybe in a couple of spots, they knew what he was going to throw, but if he threw the slider where it was supposed to go, it wouldn't be an issue. If it had the break it's supposed to have and the spin it's supposed to have and what it had in St. Louis, it wouldn't be an issue. But let's not get on David Stearns for that because we all would have made the deal. We all thought it was good. You can, though, get on Carlos Mendoza today. Because when you're in a situation, this has been going on forever, where you have a pitcher who you need to who's off the reservation, and you need to bring him back on that reservation. You need to get him back to earth. What you were trying to get back is his confidence. And Ryan Helsley clearly right now has none. So you have to find ways to do it. And the Mets have been in way too many blowout games, both for and against, where position players are in pitching, where they could have used the ability to go ahead and say, look, it's not going to be Herget here. We're going to throw Helsley in here up 10 runs and let him feel good about himself. Let him go in there knowing, hey, look, I can go ahead and throw a fastball down the middle right now because they can't score 10 runs. I don't have to worry about walking guys and be kind of punching Judy around the plate. I'm going to do any of that. I can make sure that I go after hitters because I am up by double digits. Those are the situations that are hard to sometimes hide a pitcher in. But for the Mets, it's been easy because they've been in a lot of them as of late. And that is why it is inexcusable. It is, honestly, it's dumbfounding and unfathomable. I don't know how many other adjectives I can use. That in a one-run game, down 3-2, Marte hits into the ground on the double play. You're down 3-1. You think you cut it closer, but you're right there. They're already in their pen. They brought Vest in. They're right there. And you have a chance to come back in this game and to get a sweep in. You need wins. For that Philly series to matter with the division, if you believe that that's a thing, you got to be at least down to 3 games out, in my opinion, and you got only a few days left to do it. And every game counts, and you cannot put Ryan Helsley in a game where you got a 1-run deficit, and you got to keep it right there. And you just got to run in the half inning before to cut the lead. Terrible. The idea that people get into on Twitter where I get tweets today when I said something about this and people are like, oh, well, yeah, Carlos Mendoza is a terrible manager. I've been saying it for 2 years. He's brutal and this, that, whatever. And every team wants every manager fired, even in the best of seasons. That's just how this sport is, right? That's how it is. Sometimes not till after they're gone, we're like, oh, I love them. Every Met fan in the world, I love TC, but every Met fan in the world loves Terry Collins right now. Oh, my God, I miss Terry Collins. He gets giant ovations and all this other stuff. And forget about just the Harvey decision, the 6 runs in that World Series. There were a million times where Met fans were like, oh my God, Terry Collins got to go. Carlos Mendoza, pretty good second half last year. Pretty good overall first season. Look what's happening now. You got to feel pretty good. Sorry. Not perfect. I get it. But in this situation, brutal. You cannot go to Helsley in a spot where, A, you're putting the pressure on him, where he knows that it is that tight, that margin against that team who, by the way, you waxed in the first 2 days. But if you haven't noticed, they paced the American League with their record for most of the year. They're running away with the Central. They're going to make the playoffs. And you got a chance on a series you missed Scooble to go get in there and get out with a sweep. Can't do it. And I don't know what the hell they're going to do with Helsley, pun intended. But whatever the Helsley they decide to do, it can't be in a one-run game. You're down 5, you're up 5. That's it. Those are the rules. You don't feed a gremlin after midnight. You don't get him wet. You don't put Helsley in the game up or down a run. That's it until you get him back. And if you can't get him back to you, babe, then he's out, babe. That's it. And it is what it is. If you spill milk, you don't just leave it there. You got to clean it up. And at this point, they got to clean it up with Helsley. And they got to figure out other alternatives. He had no business being in that game. Overall, the starting pitching has been the problem. We get it. Nolan McLean has been unbelievable and has won his first 4 starts. And, you could talk about all the different things in the last start, the fact of how he didn't have his best stuff early and then kind of found himself, ends up retiring 14 in a row to end, his outing. Went 6, could have probably gone longer, right? If they needed him. You feel great about a lot of the things that you've seen. The stuff, though, is off the charts. Even if he wasn't getting the results to the level he's getting now, what are 2-2 ERA of 5, right? You can't go off the reservation with him. You got to lock in because the stuff is just, forget about it. You don't need to know the spin rates to watch the way the ball's tailing out of the zone or dropping off the face of the earth. And the terrible swings and misses from some of these hitters. So with McLean and the injection of McLean, who right now for me, the way David Peterson has pitched, McLean is game 1. I don't care who it is. I watched the Cardinals win a World Series, right? And I'm trying to think. I don't even remember the guy's name in 2006. Right now it's escaping me, and I know his name. Oh, my gosh. It is going to drive me crazy. I will think about it after this. But who started game? We've seen weird game 1 starters all over the place. All right. And you certainly have seen rookies step in and take over and be a story. The way David Peterson has pitched, Nolan McLean's your game 1 starter right now. Peterson's probably game 2. After that, I don't know where they go. Jonah Tom's pitched 1 start. Let's give him some time. But I don't know where they go. And the 2 big problems clearly are Sean Manaea and Kodai Senga. And I feel differently about these 2. I feel more empathy for Manaea. I feel more empathy for Manaea because you could see how it could be difficult when you miss that long of a stretch in the season to then, hey, this is his spring training, like get underway, figure himself out. And you could tell early on that was frustrating him was the fact that he'd come out there in 3-4 innings, he struck out 8, give up no runs, and then clearly was getting tired. And those outings needed to be short, and they needed to have him on a short leash. Treat him more like a Clay Holmes, you're transitioning from a bullpen to be a starter than what they, normally had seen from him last year, where he can go deep into games. And really, they were riding him like Seattle's slew. I feel for him. You could tell he's frustrated, but he can't find it right now. And he doesn't really do. Look, I know he's pitched in the bullpen before, but not because he was pitching well as a starter. It wasn't like a voluntary thing. It wasn't like, hey, Wade Davis went to the bullpen once and became a great closer in a World Series. It wasn't like that. So I don't even know what you do with Manaea. Senga, to me, it drives me nuts. Dude's got the stuff. I get he came back from the IL. We can talk about the IL all you want. But he has the stuff. He's got the pedigree. We've seen it before. He pitches great for half the year. And I don't even know what the hell's wrong with him. Everything's over the middle. And the start that I noticed it where I was like, wow, they may never get him back this year if he doesn't find his stuff. Because the opposite of McClain, where it's like, even if these outings were bad, the stuff is there. Go back to the game against the Giants, and Chapman got him twice for homers. Might have been on a Sunday night. I think it was. And he gave up 2 homers to Chapman. And I'm telling you, cookies over the middle. He has hit more middle, more dead center than anyone, I don't care how well they pitch, is ever going to be successful doing. And he has missed. You go look at where Torrens is setting up or Senger and look where the ball is. His level of accuracy about knowing where he's throwing it and his control right now is completely terrible. It's awful. And I don't know what the hell you're going to do with the guy. You can't put him in the pen. You're going to walk dudes and give up a homer. There's going to be a bloop and a blast, and you already lost the game. So they are in deep trouble. And I don't need to tell you, if you haven't already figured it out, no matter how good the offense has been, and it's been amazing now for weeks, right? No matter how great it's been, going anywhere if they don't figure out how to pitch. You can't win in October. You can't win, as Adrian said to Rocky once. You can't win in a postseason without pitching. And right now, their starting pitching overall is garbage. And you're asking 2 kids to carry you. And look, it's a nice story. But again, when do we get to the point of how many innings have they pitched? And they've never pitched in October, and they've never done this, and they've never done that. And you can't ask them to do it. Do you remember what Mania looked like his last start in the postseason last year, where you're like, dude, this guy's got nothing left? What are these kids going to have left when they get into that spot? The Mets can't win this way. You don't win 8-7 in October. You can't do it. Not consistently. You just can't. Excuse me. They're in trouble. So I'm curious, if you were to build the Mets starting rotation right now, and you were to take 1 through 5, and you were to say, okay, here's game 1, game 2, game 3, and you want to use 3, how you want to use 4 starters, however you want to do it. These starters are going to the pen. This guy's off the roster. How are you handling the Mets rotation now? Let me know on Twitter at Casey Stern. Let me know in the comments on YouTube. Listening on Apple and Spotify, let me know in either of those places. I want to hear from you because I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. They're not good answers. Luckily, the offense been scoring touchdowns. Easier. And there's clearly a couple of things to point out there. And I'll give you 1 or 2 that look, the first thing is you got to be the level of what Juan Soto is. To have the bad year where he's not clutch and he doesn't get big hits and we don't think he cares and this and that and the other thing. And look, I'm not saying there's not some value to some of that. There has been value to some of that. There has. There's been value to some of that. But the guy's sitting here after this most recent torrid stretch. He's got 37 home runs. He's going to end up probably with 100 ribs. He got over 100 runs scored. He's got 120 walks. His OBP is right there up at, again, right around 400, where it normally is. And he's up there among his best offensive seasons. And he now has a grand slam, and he now has he's doing all the things. Big hits, a 2-run triple. He's doing all of it now. And he's got that swagger to him. Is he the greatest outfielder that's ever lived? No. Is he going to ever run hard to first on a ground out? No. Is he ever going to look like when they lose, like it hurts him as much as when other guys lose? Apparently not. By the way, welcome a lot of other athletes who make that kind of money in a lot of sports that act that way a lot of the time. It is what it is. Yeah, he's not a dirt dog or whatever term you want to use. This is not what he is. The guy's number is fantastic. Enough already with the Soto stuff. You got to give love to the improvements of what we've seen of some of the players who really seemed like they were in their own mind and in their own right, not even part of the equation anymore. Jeff McNeil looks more like the Jeff McNeil when he won the batting title. I mean, I don't even know how many off seasons in a row I've tried to, in my mind, trade Jeff McNeil, but he's been great. He's been McHits. Brett Beatty has been fantastic. He's not getting enough conversation about it, in my opinion, but you get him 7th, you get him 9th, you can play him at 2nd, you can play him at 3rd, making good defensive plays. He's running the bases, stealing a base here and there. He's getting big hits, having multi-hit games. He's hitting in the clutch. He's been great, giving you great at-bats. That's the thing. The quality of at-bats across the board from the lineup have been so good. But it is demoralizing. It is the anti-DeGrom. DeGrom go on the mound, give up no runs in an inning, 1, 2, 3, strike out 3 guys, and all I need to run, and he got 3 pop-ups from degenerates who can't hit. And the other side, now you got these hitters who go out in the lineup, go put 4 up, and the guy they throw out there is going to give up 6. It's you can't win. I mean, really, hit the one in the middle. Starting pitching's got to be better. Got to hide Helsley in some way. Figure out how to get his confidence and get his stuff back. I don't want to hear about the tipping of pitches anymore. Get his stuff back. And the offense is going to cool off at some point. What then? Right? You can't win games 10-8 all the time. Even though the Mets have certainly tried to prove that they can do that. So what's your thought on the rotation? How does it look? What about Senga? What about Manaea and the lack of trust? How would you handle Helsley? Want to hear your thoughts along the way, all the way through. At Casey Stern, jump in on Twitter X if you will, and get on the YouTube comments. We will see you again soon. We'll continue to do this throughout the course of the postseason. And I've got a podcast coming out next couple of days on the baseball landscape across the board heading down the stretch. You can get all of that information right here where you can